Hey, this is Overpass Insights. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today let's talk about visiting clients and the cost of doing business. Alright, so today I have another client meeting in London. So I'm copying all of my relevant applications to my iPad. In the past I've gotten to see clients and I haven't had demonstrations for them. So I know that this prospect, they're not a client yet, but hopefully this prospect is interested in games and things that are very cartoony. So I'm going through my app archive and making sure that I get everything put onto my iPad so that I can demonstrate everything to them before the meeting. And already I'm running a little bit late. So obviously as a small business person, cost is one of my biggest concerns. I don't want to spend too much money, especially on a prospect if I don't know if we're going to get the job or not. And sometimes people will criticize me saying, you shouldn't be meeting with them in person to begin with. And I used to do that all the time. I used to do my first meeting, used to always be in person, and it got to be expensive. I mean, that was one of the benefits of hiring Overpass as opposed to somebody overseas, is because we could sit down at the same table, we could go through things in more detail, and it really helps in the sales process. However, it got to be too expensive, all the traveling around and everything. So now I only do that first meeting in person if it really seems worth it. If it seems to be a company, if they seem to be like the project size seems to be pretty big. So that's what I'm doing today. So I'm incurring the cost of it, but you know, hopefully it'll work out. So whenever I make a trip for a meeting or to visit a prospect, it used to bother me a lot, especially if you have to incur a bit of travel costs. So it's probably going to cost me about 50 pounds altogether today to go meet with this client. So hopefully it'll turn into a job which will pay off. It might not though, and that's one of the downsides of it. Like I said, I used to meet with everybody. There have been times where I've driven halfway across the country to meet somebody in a coffee shop who turned out to be an individual with an app idea that they were going to go on a Kickstarter with, and they knew that they could come up with the money they needed to, even the ballpark quote I'd given them on the phone, and that conversation turned out to be fruitless, a waste of a trip. So now I'm a little bit more selective. So even though I'm making this trip today, a lot of the times I don't make the trip unless it's actually necessary, but I kind of consider that to be the cost of doing business. So there's a second reason for the trip, which is I kind of just need to get out of the office. So it's like a field trip for me. So when you're in the office for too long, you're kind of looking for any excuse to get out. And a day into London to do a little bit of sales, do a little bit of looking around is always welcome. And a couple of months ago, or at least last year, they opened up a Taco Bell in London. So I'm going to be going there afterwards. So it's a win-win either way. Either I'm going to get a new client or I'm just going for an expensive burrito. So we'll find out in due time. Okay, so I'm in Green Park. The meeting's at about half an hour. According to Google Maps, it's an 8-minute walk away, so I'm on time for once. This is perfect. In fact, I'm a little bit early, which is even more perfect. I've researched the company, I've had something to eat, I've been to the bathroom, I've installed all the test apps on my test devices, so for demonstration purposes. Everything is good so far, except, God, I can't believe I did this. I just spilled coffee on my shirt while on the train, right? You know what, you try so hard to be a grown-up. I don't know if you can see it here. It's just right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's not as bad as chocolate, which that's happened before too, but you know, God, I think I just need to start wearing a bib. God, you try so hard to be a grown-up sometimes, but anyway, when you're meeting with clients, the most important thing to do is to be confident, be comfortable, go in there. You're not going into these meetings because they need to hire you. You're going into these meetings because you can help them. So it's always good to do. So anyway, I'll let you guys know how the meeting goes afterwards. That's it. Wish me luck, I guess. Okay, so the meeting went pretty well, I suppose, but it wasn't definitive. It was one of these ones where you've given us a lot to think about. Thank you very much, and they're gonna let me know, which it didn't sound too bad. I always do the same thing I do every time I have a client meeting, which is I encourage them to talk to other app developers too, which as a salesperson is probably not a great thing to do, but anyway, so now it's time to go off and get some mediocre, mass-produced Mexican food from the Taco Bell. It's gonna be awesome. My question for you guys today is, to what lengths will you go to meet clients? Do you meet with clients? Do you travel to meet with them even though you don't know you get the job? Or are you the type of person who would rather have that conversation on the phone first in order to make sure you have some sort of certainty before you have that initial meeting? So anyway, it's still been a nice day out, not too bad. So anyway, thanks for coming along with me today, and I'll talk to you guys again next time. Before I forget, if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Like my new house? I'll see you guys next time.